So what's up? Today we're going to be looking at how to correctly use the repitch algorithm in Ableton. Let's dive into it. So welcome back to the channel, Chris here. So like I was saying, we're going to be taking a look at the repitch algorithm, which you can find here. If you want to know what all of these do, I've also done a video breaking down all of them, so feel free to check that out. But today in particular, we're going to talk solely about the repitch algorithm. I really enjoy the sound of this. Sometimes I find that I'll be changing the tempo and you end up landing in between notes. It's not necessarily correct in terms of the pitch it should be landing on. So we're going to look at how to overcome this situation. To get us started, I've got a tune I'm working on here, and I basically took this segment. I'm actually going to stick my headphones on. And I really liked it, but I thought, let me hear it without the drums. I really like the vibe of that. So all I did was created a new track, turned on resampling, and just recorded that whole segment. So now I have it here. Right, so I've got that take. Lovely. I've changed this over to repitch, and now what this allows me to do, similar to how it would work on a vinyl player, if I speed up and slow down the tempo, it's also going to change the pitch accordingly. So if you hear what that sounds like, I'm going to speed it up. Super sick. Slow it down. Oh, you get such a crazy depth from doing this type of thing, and I love the sound of it. There's the tendency that you land in between the notes. So what I'm going to show you is how I like to calibrate this accordingly, right? So in this case, I've got the sample, I've created a new track, and I've added one of these, which is just a sine wave. Very simple. Sounds like that. Nothing too crazy going on. I literally just searched for sine, and I had a bunch of these sine waves, and I just chose one of them, right? And this is the one I landed on. And I can see on the actual sample that it's a C2. So if I stick a tuner on here, I can see this note is a C, straight on the nose, right? So I know this is a perfect reference for me to be looking at any changes in pitch. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna drag this sine wave right underneath, and I'm gonna turn the volume down because we don't actually need to hear it. But what is good is that the tuner is still showing us that C. Right, so now I can go into here. I've got it set to repitch. So now if I change the speed, you can see this is actually going to change. If I turn up the sine wave, you can see that. And so this is going to be our reference of how in and out of key we're landing, right? So the song is at 100 BPM, so that's going to be our default. So that's where we're landing. Nice little C. I can turn this back down. And now I'm going to play this track and slow it down to a position that I think sounds really nice. Great, I love that, sounding really nice. If I go into the sine wave, however, and press play, you can see that we're right in between kind of A and A sharp. So what I could do is I could speed it up slightly. We're at 87 BPM, so let's say I go to 89. And that's already landed us most of the way in key. Whereas if I left it where it was on 87, and I tried to jam with it, it literally sounds like the piano is out of tune. So not very ideal when you're trying to add more layers to the sample you're working with. So we saw that if I bump it up to 89, not a huge change in pitch. It all sounds the same. But now if I play the piano, right? So now we're definitely working in the key. Could also go a step further and say, you know, we're 2 cents off. So if I did 89.1, And that's got us right in the middle. Now, I know a lot of people aren't fans for having decimal points on your BPM. Personally, even me, I don't like to do it, but I personally wouldn't mind leaving it at 89 just to keep it a solid figure. If you don't mind having a 0.1 in your BPM, then go ahead, you get that pitch perfect. That's my method. I find you can obviously go and add something like a SoundShifter of waves. So if I had it on 89.1, on 89 instead of 89.1, I could see it's minus 2 cents off. I could literally get my SoundShifter plugin and I can bump it up 2 cents. And let's see, just for the sake of seeing how it's affecting this, I'll put it before the tuner. But that's shifted me into place. I can leave the BPM on 79 and always just freeze and flatten this stem. So like that, it's perfect pitch, perfect timing, and you've got the beauty of the repitch algorithm, which is, I would argue, the cleanest way of time stretching and changing the pitch at the same time. If you're using Complex Pro, it works to a certain extent, but say you're slowing down the speed of the audio, but you're pitching up the audio, it's two factors that tend to work against each other. Whereas with the repitch module, if you're making track longer and you also want it to be slower, that's scientifically the strongest algorithm you could use to really get a high fidelity result. Obviously, it just kind of sacrifices your ability to change the pitch after the fact, but I think it sounds really good, and I strongly recommend you try this algorithm. Say I was using a percussion loop and I want it to be at a certain speed, but I also don't necessarily mind the pitch changing slightly. The repitch algorithm gives me a great flavor, so let's actually try that. I'm just gonna find a shaker loop. I can see we've got one here at 100 BPM, which is a perfect example. So we'll put that in, make sure it loops across. Doesn't sound too bad. There's a little bit of the kind of crunchy algorithmic stuff going on in the background, but if I change this to repitch, it's going to be deeper and also so clean in terms of playback. And I don't mind it sounding a little bit deeper. I think it sounds great. So definitely a feature you should be incorporating into your productions if you see it fit. But that's about it for today, guys. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section below. What do you think of the video? I haven't done as many of these kind of Ableton tutorials in a minute, as I've been mainly focused on the plugins, the software, that kind of side. So if you're enjoying this, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to bring you more of this kind of stuff, and we can geek out a little bit on Ableton. But otherwise, that's it for me today, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.